And so it's very, very, very difficult to advocate for ourselves as women in certain situations anyway, because, like I said, we've been groomed our whole lives to, say yes, to sort of smile and go along with things, to put other people's needs before ours, to be empathetic and make sure everyone around us is okay before we are. Like, we just do this by default, a lot of the time, because that's what's been expected of us our whole
That's right.
lives, and that's what we've been rewarded for. And then in a birth situation, that's just amplified because the doctors know best. Um, you don't want to make a wrong move. Like, there's so much at stake. It's like we're getting dangled over us like the life of our baby and ourselves, and if we make a wrong move or we go against
That's right.
what other people who seem to be in this position of authority and knowledge, what they're saying and suggesting or demanding, like, what a horrific
Mm.
thing that would be if it didn't go our way, and then that would be our fault. And so sometimes, and this happens in the bedroom a lot. I hear this all the time. This is what I'm coaching women in particular on a lot, is like, to not just go along with things because it's easier than making a scene or creating some kind of tension or friction. So many people allow things to be done to their bodies because it's just easier than retracting the consent that they'd previously given, or usually they haven't even given consent. They've maybe gone home with someone, or they've found themselves in a situation. They've been okay with a bit of intimacy, but then it's moving further, and they're like, "Oh, well, I mean, I'm here now. I probably it'd be too difficult to kind of like say no now. I may as well just like let this happen and go along with it." And it's easier than actually standing up for myself, or removing myself from this situation somehow. So,
Mm.
we're having sex when we don't really want to have sex. We're having the kind of sex that we don't want to be having. We're all like very, very commonly, in situations that aren't particularly empowering or we're not enjoying, or even like in marriages where you love the person, you trust them, you feel safe, you're having sex, and really commonly it'll just like maybe stop feeling good for the woman, or it'll start hurting a little bit, but you're kind of like, well, I mean, I'm here now, I may as well just
Might as well
let him
finish.
finish. It's not pleasant for me, it's kind of hurting, but like, let's just finish him off and get it done with. And it's like that last 5 minutes of sex might be really unpleasant for the woman, but she lets it happen. And that's a really
Mm.
common example that
Mm.
seems harmless, but it's just another way that we're kind of, we're putting other people first and giving away our power. So I could
Mm.
rave about that forever,
Mm.
but I definitely feel like that happens in birth a lot. And then the woman feels really terrible afterwards because she's like, why the fuck did I let that happen? Why did I go along with that? Why wasn't my partner advocating for me when I was out of my mind on all of
Yeah.
these hormones and pain and fear? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
important as well to chat about how you encourage like fathers to get involved and like what they can do to support the process and make it more of an empowering experience. Starting to practice saying no if this is a hard thing for you, which it is for a lot of people, especially women. Starting to practice saying no with your most intimate people, so your partner and maybe
Yeah.
family members or friends, and you can even let them know like, hey, I'm quite challenged by saying no, and I want to practice. So please just know that it's nothing personal. And, we're not very good at receiving no, a lot of
Yeah.
people. A lot of the time, like, that is seen as a rejection or something, a personal affront. And so because people aren't great at receiving no,
Yeah.
they don't respond, very well. They don't receive that. And then the person that's trying to say no gets that, negative feedback of like, oh, that doesn't go well for me. And it's just easier if I can say yes. It's just
Yeah.
actually easier because if I say no, my partner's just going to be a little fucking baby about it. And it's easier for me to just cop it myself. And that is what happens
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
time, is like
Yeah.
women, especially in the bedroom, giving guidance or feedback, especially men, but women do this too. Everyone is pretty bad at receiving feedback. They let it dent their egos and then they react quite immaturely. It's not anyone's fault. That's just we haven't been taught how to communicate maturely and how to navigate these things. And so, yeah, that's obviously reflected in other scenarios in life. And so, I feel like if you're preparing to give birth, whether that is at home or in the hospital, like really practicing your no, practicing your boundaries, practicing giving and not giving consent, so that you know what
Mm,
that feels like, so that you're not all of a sudden
that's
trying to do
exactly
that for the
right.
first time in literally the most pressurized situation possible,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you won't stand a chance.
Yeah.
And then you'll loathe yourself. You'll be disappointed in yourself afterwards and you'll blame yourself. And actually, you should not be, after a very traumatic birth experience that's super disempowering, you shouldn't be blaming yourself because then you're feeling even worse about something that's already shit. You should be blaming the systems that are in place and the sort of people that have coerced you and groomed you and pressured you into disempowering situations that now have left you feeling wretched. So,
Yeah.
anyway, that's my soapbox moment.
I'm snapping over here. I mean, that's what you
Click,
just
click.
said. That needs to be what everybody takes from the episode. That is so critical.
Mm,
The first time that you practice saying no, thank you, and it's as simple as that. And that is very hard for even us to
mm,
do when our friends call up to go to the movies and you're like, oh, I don't know. I got other things to do. Like, no, thanks. I'm really tired today. I'm just going to pass, but let me know when you go next time. Like that little thing is so hard for us to do, let alone being a woman conditioned in the way that you just described, practicing
mhm.
saying no when they haven't even said no to their most intimate partner. Like practicing saying no
Yeah,
when you're going into the
yeah,
hospital in labor, it's 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 not it's an exercise that's dead in its tracks. It's just really really hard
yeah.
to expect that of our women.